Hello, this is Michael Wehar here at Swarthmore College. This is WSRN 91.5 FM. Our phone number is 610-690-5700. Our email address is wsrn-dj-owner@sccs.swarthmore.edu. Yes, that's a mouthful. I'm excited to have a special guest here tonight. His name's Andrew. He has some background in college radio. And Andrew, could you introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. This is Andrew Kaufmann here. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me, Mike. It's quite an honor to be part of Swarthmore Radio here.
So, Andrew, we have several questions for you, so I'm just going to jump right in.
I have several answers for you.
Well, thank you. First question, what college did you go to?
I went to Newman University.
And Newman, I believe it's not far away.
Not far away at all. It's in the area, the highest point in Delaware County.
Oh, I actually didn't know that. Well, we're broadcasting here to Delaware County, so I believe you weren't too far away where you grew up, right?
Correct. I was about 15 miles away, and I still am 15 miles away from Newman University, and I'm not too far away from here as well.
Okay, so I'm going to jump into our next question. Did you do college radio? And I already know the answer, but I was wondering if you could tell us about that.
So yes, I was part of the radio station, Newman Radio it was known as at the time, and that was a great point in my life. I did that throughout my entire college career.
Well, that's pretty amazing. I am new to radio, so this is only my third broadcast, my second recorded broadcast. So I want to learn from you, Andrew. So what was it like being in college radio?
Well, it was quite an honor to be part of it. Radio was something that I had wanted to do for quite some time, and I was very happy to become part of college radio. It was a very fun experience. It was a great learning experience. It certainly helped my communication skills and my speaking skills as well.
Well, that's really great. I think radio is awesome, and I'm excited to experience this for the first time. I wanted to ask you more about this. Did you have a radio show or multiple shows?
So that's a good question. The answer to all your questions in a heartbeat is yes. I had my own radio show. I started off with a rock radio show. It was called Kaufmann's Rock Zone, and I played rock and roll music on that. First year, it was strictly classic rock. And then the second year, to keep the show fun and fresh, I decided to expand the playlist. So I started playing more Elvis, but also more of Muse, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Foo Fighters. So really old rock, going all the way back basically to the current stuff at the time, Hailstorm. And as I said, it became more fun and fresh. It became more fun and fresh, not just for me, but also the listeners as well. The more fun and fresh it is for the host, it's that way for listeners as well. And I loved it, and the people loved it. Now, that was the one show I had done. I had done another show. I had always admired old school broadcasters, and doing a rock show there that started off as classic rock, you could tell that this was an old school kind of show. And I wish I had my t-shirt here. It's the old Nintendo. You ever see the old Nintendo? It has the old Nintendo controller, and it says old school on it. I have that, and I think that's perfect for me. And that's how my show was. But I also admired Kasem. You ever hear of him?
I don't know. Can you tell me more?
Well, he was a famous broadcaster. He did I think the weekly top 40. He did that back in the day. They used to have like chart radio shows, for instance, and he had a TV show, America's Top 10, back in the 80s. And so he would do that, and, I came across all that stuff on YouTube. And so I just wanted to do a chart show. So I wanted to expand basically what I was doing with the station. A lot of people there were doing two shows, so I thought, well, this would be nice. So I did a chart show. I did a top 5 countdown show for half an hour once a week. And I also assisted in various other shows. There were remote events, there were special events that we had done. And being part of the executive board for the last 2 years or so of my college career really helped that as well. So I was on the air quite often at the end. Not just once a week, an hour a week.
Well, that's really amazing. So for 4 years, you were involved in college radio at Newman University, and you also supported some of the other students getting involved with radio.
I did. It was kind of neat because, at the beginning it was like, I'm trying to learn everything here. And I wanted the goal to be at the end when I was graduating to be able to help other people out. And I did help other people out. And it was my final semester there, and they were incoming freshmen. They were doing similar shows like me. And it was such an honor to be able to help these. They seemed like they were such young kids. And it was such an honor to help them out. And it wasn't just them, but it was various friends I made through the station that started doing. They went from doing like sports shows to music shows like me. And they looked upon me, and I was always willing to be there and give them some advice. And, you talk about getting people involved. That was something that that was a goal since day one. When I started in that station, I think the station was less than a year old. And we were having a bit of a learning curve trying to figure out how can we get more and more people involved. And that was just something that came over time. My first few years there, it was very easy to sign up for a show. By my junior year, you had to sign up as soon as possible. Otherwise, someone was going to get the slot that you may have wanted. And it was my final year there where we realized that we had arrived.
Well, that's really amazing that you could see the station at your college grow from it being a new station where they were kind of aggressively looking for new broadcasters and new people's interests. And it became a thriving community where it was tough to even book a show. I wanted to just kind of recap. So you said that you hosted 2 shows.
I hosted 2 shows. So throughout most of my run, it was Kaufmann's Rocks, and that was my baby. I'm a music junkie, and more so a rock music junkie. And basically, I like all kinds of rock. There's very few artists that I will criticize in the rock genre, but most of them I liked, and most of them I played on the show. And that, like I said, I basically had almost the time of my life playing that show. I remember back in like my freshman year of high school, right? I realized that, I was becoming not just a music junkie, but a radio junkie. And so I really wanted to put those two together. And certainly enough, I was able to do that. The chart show I did was just an additional show just to learn and basically just try. I just wanted to try something new, basically, with that. But when I did my final show ever, it was, I said I did the rock show for an hour a week. I think I did about 4 hours that final show, and it was all the rock show stuff.
Well, maybe we could invite you back to make it not your final show. Maybe you can. Maybe you could do another show here at some point. But
that'd be cool. I'd be honored to do that, Mike.
Well, I wanted to come back to a point though. So those 2 shows, did you do them for all 4 years, or did they take you some time to develop the concept? Did you know the name of what you were going to call your show day one?
That's a good question. The rock show I did from start to finish. And I answer with the rock show because it was just classic rock, If you looked at the website and you saw the schedule, classic rock, Andrew Kaufmann. And then I started toying around with names. And I figured, I want these people, I don't want this to be just a show. I want this to be an event, So what's a good name for it? And I thought, well, we can get them in the zone. I'm in the zone. We'll get the listeners in the zone. So I figured it's my show. I'll put my name on it. And it's a rock show, so I'll call Kaufmann's Rocks. And that came around in the second year. And it wasn't until my senior year, somewhere in the middle of the semester, that I came up with the chart show. It was just something that I was discussing with the program director. We were just toying around with ideas, and Thought, well, something I could do. Why not? Why not give it a shot? It's much different than doing the rock show. I mean, the rock show was pretty, in a sense, loose but tight. Like, I could just be myself on it and play whatever I wanted to play, which was a great freedom of college radio. The chart show was just, you had to play this, that, and the other thing. Top 5 songs on the Billboard Hot 100.
Well, thank you so much for going into more detail about that. I just wanted to take a moment to kind of recap with anyone who just tuned in. So again, my name is Michael Wehar. This is WSRN 91.5 FM here at Swarthmore College. If you want to call in, our number is 610-690-5700. We have a special guest here today, Andrew Kaufmann, and he has had 4 years of experience in college radio, and he's sharing with our station because our station is kind of going through a reboot right now. Our station is actively seeking new broadcasters and trying to, redefine ourselves and better put out content for the community here. So we're very fortunate to have Andrew. So coming back to it, Andrew, give me just a moment here. What advice do you have for us? What do you think we should do? I know it was a similar time when you started doing college radio. The station was new at your school, and you went from there being very few broadcasters to so many broadcasters that people couldn't even sign up anymore. Is there any advice that would have helped you when you were experiencing that? Because we're in those same shoes right now.
Well, I would say, get people to have fun with it. Biggest key is, I think, the word of mouth. Persuade people into it. Let them know that it's going to be a great time and that they can do whatever they like to do. But also, as I was saying earlier on, it helped me build my communication skills. And you have students around here, they are probably going to do internships. They eventually have to go out in the workforce, get a job, and they're going to face job interviews as well as presentations, not just in class, but also with their job. And this will be a great tool for them to use, and it will help them grow, not just with their any communication skills, public speaking. If they have to write stuff down for their show, it can help them with their writing as well. But the key is, go around, make yourself known. And if you can do that and persuade the people to do that, you'll see some changes for the better.
I think that was excellent. Here at Swarthmore, it's an educational institution, and we want to help our students. We want to help them build up skills, communication skills, presentation skills, and help them connect with the community here. So I feel like you made the case for why this station is important, and why it's important for hopefully all colleges to have opportunities like this. So let's see. We still have a bit more time here. Again, if anyone wants to call in, our phone number is 610-690-5700. If you call in, you can ask Andrew a question. But while we're waiting for that, let's see. Do you have any kind of things about the station itself that were really memorable? Did you and your fellow classmates, did you start putting up artwork? Did you start customizing what kind of mixer you were using, what kind of microphones? Do you have any suggestions regarding how to make the space our own?
How to make the space your own? I think to do that, you have to build upon the station. Make it more known. I'll tell you this: the more Newman Radio grew, there were talks about getting a new building, and it was some years after I left, they actually ended up getting a brand new building. So they had various people, the program director, IT department, and they had their own connections with people in radio, and they were really the ones who set up the stuff behind the scenes and, figured out what equipment we were going to use with it.
So I think that helps a lot. So it's based on what I'm hearing from you. I mean, as we're doing this reboot here at WSRN 91.5 FM, as we're doing this reboot at the college with our radio, we got to get people interested. We got to get people involved, and that's the start of it. And then once we have some people here who are broadcasting, who are excited, then we can start really kind of making it our own, building connections with some experts maybe in the radio industry, and start planning out if we need to update things in our station or if we need to move to another location here on campus. There are some aspects of the station right now that are a bit rough, but it has some character to it. And as more people get involved, we'll make some decisions about how we can make it our own and how we can continue to develop here with radio. So let's see. Can you tell me more about that first time that you learned about the station at your university? I know you told me the story offline, and I just wondered if you could tell us again. I hope this story might resonate with some other students who might encounter, hey, there's a station here at the college, and it only takes a couple steps for you to get here in front of the microphone where you can start broadcasting something of interest to you. So if you could just share a little bit about that first experience finding out about the station, first experience being on the air, that would be really great.
Certainly. So, as I said earlier, I was a music and radio junkie in my freshman year of high school, and I thought, this would be nice if I could combine the two. And you know what? I didn't care when I did it. I didn't care where I did it. I didn't care if I was getting paid for it. And it was a nice thought. And as the years go by, certain goals and dreams change. You want to do other things. And so fast forward to my senior year of high school, and I'm visiting other colleges, and some of them had radio stations, some of them didn't. The ones that did, I thought of that little dream again. But yet I chose this school that did not have a radio station when I toured. And isn't it amazing how money can play a factor in everything, and it always outweighs something else, That's what happens when you're an accounting major or a banker like me. But, I decided to go to Newman because it would be smarter for me financially. And so, as I said, when I toured there, they didn't have a radio station. And then it's my second day of classes. And, at this point, I'm just determined to do some activity. I didn't care what it was. I just wanted to dominate it. I'm in the cafeteria with some friends, and, there's music playing, and I hear Newman Radio. I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. They don't have a station. What's this about, So after I finish the lunch, I immediately go down there, get involved. And I said, well, how long's the station been around? And it was less than a year at the time. So about maybe a few months after I had toured there, that's when the station came around. And you talk about the first show, it was definitely a learning curve. I had never done anything like that in my life before. The equipment, which I found extremely easy not too long afterwards, was somewhat intimidating. It looked like I was running a space station there. Yet all I was doing was pressing buttons to play music and put myself on the air. But it did seem a little intimidating. And, I addressed the concern, as soon as I was signing up, I've never had the experience before. And, that wasn't a concern because they wanted to coach and train people, but also they wanted people not only to have fun, but also to grow with the station as well. And the first show was, it wasn't my best show, obviously, given the inexperience that came across the air on at times. And, it was a learning curve, and I was very determined to climb every learning curve I could. Some learning curves steeper than others. But, I seeked help around the campus from people in the station. I gave them my shows to listen to, and I asked for the feedback. And, I basically, I did what I was told to do. There's some other people who did the same thing, but they didn't do what they were told to do. I did what I was told to do. And, I made changes immediately. They were like, well, this is going to be a tough change. It might take a while. And I was like, well, I'll make it happen as fast as possible.
Well, that's really amazing, Andrew. For those of you who just tuned in, again, this is Michael Wehar here at Swarthmore College at WSRN 91.5 FM. And we have this amazing guest, Andrew Kaufmann, who has 4 years of experience in radio. And we just heard so much good advice and suggestions about how we can move forward as we reboot the station here at Swarthmore. And a couple of the highlights here are, this is an educational institution, and as Andrew said so greatly there, from radio, you can build communication skills, you can be challenged and learn, and you can build a community. So I think we need to take a few lessons from Andrew on how we're going to go about rebooting this station. And again, for those students out there here at Swarthmore College, if you're interested in getting involved with radio, please let us know. You're only a few steps away from becoming a broadcaster. And I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. We're going to end this interview, but I hope to have a few more special guests in the coming week. We also have Brian, who is a music creator, who I'm going to interview as well. And we have someone from who's involved with community and economic development in the local region who's going to come on. So I'm very excited. And I just want to thank you again, Andrew. This is the first recorded interview I've done. And thanks for making it a great success.
Hey, thanks for having me.